The Citizen Mike Show. News. Commentary. Interviews. The Citizen Mike Show starts now.
Hey, welcome to the Citizen Mike Show. Thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. My name is Mike Burdinsky. On my right, Christopher K. Shortell. Counselor Shortell, you have been a busy boy this past week, working on some stories for us.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
But we had a quick chat off camera. I understand you talked with the chief of police. Something's going on there with the police station. Bring us up to date. What have you learned?
Sure. This goes back actually, even to the last few budget cycles where we've been talking about adding officers, and as we talked about adding officers, we've been told the police station they're kind of almost ready. They've almost outgrown it. So that's been one element. I had a talk with the chief. I've had two talks this fall with the chief. One today, but one right before the candidate forum, where I just wanted to clarify a few things. And basically, what he's talking about is that building is reached the end of its lifespan. It's about 30 years old. Well, the building's more than 30 years old. They've been there for about 30 years. The police station used to be by where Cafe Ra is on Center Street. And so something that the chief had told me was that they, in September, with the mayor's blessing, they brought in some architects, 7 or 8 architects, and really with the intention of just sort of scoping out what would the bid specs look like, replacing boilers, replacing electrical, and potentially expanding, potentially adding a third floor or looking at, what would those bid specs look like? And they basically were told, don't even bother coming up with bid specs by that group because that building is not, I don't know if salvageable is the right word, but it can't sustain a third floor. They can't expand. They can't, they have the fire station on one side. They have the residential property on the other. So, it's one of those things. I've made some references in the last 6 weeks on the show we talked about the pool and the schools, and I've said, well, the police station's coming. And that's kind of this is really what I've been talking about, is that I think there's going to be some decisions made in the coming term, probably in the coming 12 months, around what do we do then? Because clearly they need to do something. And it sounds like, from what the chief is saying, it staying there and renovating that building might not be the best choice.
All right, let me try to bottom line a couple of things.
Sure.
See if it seems what you're saying is that the chief is of the opinion, and I would just infer from that that Mayor Dickinson is on board too, that the police station is going to relocate. Is that?
I think they have to look at that. I think they have to talk. I think that's the direction they're going.
I
don't want to make that be a headline and say it's definitely happening, but I think that's where
I listened to what you said.
That's
and
where they're going. That's where they're going.
What I heard was it ain't going to work.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's sustainable where it is.
So that means
long-term.
it's going to
eventually.
The
yes.
thinking now it's going to relocate.
I think probably.
Okay. And they're just in the beginning phases. I mean, my other takeaway is beginning phases, just beginning to talk about it. And
I think so. Yeah.
There has been a little movement, at least getting some architects in.
Right.
Okay. What would you like to see as a town councilor, as a citizen, as a resident? What would you like to see?
Well,
Or as location, that kind of thing.
Yeah, as far as location, I think I don't know what the choices are. I think that there's obviously you could look at there's certainly commercial properties probably in town that are vacant. I don't know how many are actually for sale. But the question is, you want a location that works for the police. They have to have access. You can't stick it in one corner of town where they're driving 20 minutes. I joke with my friend Joe Marone that I can get to Waterbury. I live in Yalesville. I can get to Waterbury faster than I can to Joe Marone's house because I live on the west side. He lives on the east side. So I think it has to be kind of a central location. There is a sentimental value in having a station in the center of town. And I actually asked the chief about that, and he agreed. And it's nice to have, but from a security and safety perspective, there really
Well,
is no.
isn't it more than sentimental? I'm going to be the devil's advocate
Sure.
now, and just
Sure.
doesn't it give? And you started to say the word a good sense of security, a nice warm security blanket for folks when they're downtown. Maybe especially when the bars close and we got dark alleys leading to dark parking lots. To look across the street and you see the warm blue light of the Wallingford Police Station. Isn't that worth anything or not really?
I'm going to tell you about 20 years ago.
This is
When I was
a
when I was in
crime
my
story?
when I was in my 20s, I was one of the people stumbling out of those bars. I'm telling you, I wasn't walking toward the warm police station.
We heard about that, and that's next show.
Okay, all right.
That's
all
the
right.
next show.
No, I think that just it certainly it gives people, I'm sure, a sense of security at any part of the day to see those. But all you're really seeing is traffic. You're seeing the patrol cars going back home, to the lot. But I don't know that again. You're a data guy. You're a facts guy. I don't know if there's any data to support that it makes anyone any.
No, I'm not coming at it.
safer.
It's just a hunch.
It's just a hunch.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I think
unsupported hunch
it's
at
like
this
the
point.
police officer that stands on the corner by the wishing well. Is that really?
Well, we took care of that and showed it. We gave him the axe.
Did we? I thought he came.
I don't know.
thought we're
Is
bringing
he
him
back?
I thought he was back
Maybe not.
during the school. day.
Okay, so being downtown is not key. So I'm talking to you now again as a resident,
Mm-hmm.
a town councilor. If the police department relocates, and I'm just going to make up because we've never discussed this. I'm just going to put a time frame on
Sure.
it. 6 years. That's arbitrary just to illustrate.
Sure.
Something's going to have to happen to that building. Mm-hmm. What would you like to
Oh,
see?
well, you're repurposing the armory, the current building.
Yeah, the current.
Oh, well,
the
brewery.
A brewery.
A brewery, a bar, like a barcade. So like New Haven. So a brewery with like an adult, like video games. Maybe it could be a sister brewery to the one that we're sticking in the train station after we kick adult ed out, because that's what you're kicking adult ed out. We've established that this season. No,
A brewery.
well, I think
We don't have enough bars in town. How
I
about
know.
a little culture?
I know. No, I think culture is great.
The Wallingford Opera House.
Theater would be beautiful. I mean, I'm a big theater. I'm a big theater guy. So, that actually.
And Art Center. But it doesn't pay taxes.
Theater.
I mean, that's a problem. You want something that generates
Well,
tax.
but let's talk about that. So that's sort of the trade-off. I think that if they end up getting a commercial property somewhere, I don't know if they will, that would potentially take
something else off the tax rolls.
something else off the tax rolls.
That's right.
You could maybe compensate by putting that building. Now again, that I believe, I don't know if that's a historic building either. I don't know anything about. I know it used to be the Armory.
Yeah.
There was one stat about that building I heard when I was a kid when it first became the police station, that the front door could take a direct hit from a bazooka or something and not. But I don't know anything about that building if there's restrictions. But I think that it would be great to get.
Okay, I got my idea. I think it's going to take a variance probably, but that's okay. I think I would like to see a cabaret with live entertainment. So that meshes the culture.
It does.
With your booze.
With my
Okay.
with my booze.
All right.
Right.
Any further thoughts on the police station?
I just think that it has to, from a town councilor perspective, it has to work for the. I know you always say we're blinded by the brass of the fire and the police, but I do want it to work for them.
never said.
You do. You say we rubber stamp everything they do.
Oh, well,
But
that's true. I did say
you
that.
did say you've said that
Yeah,
repeatedly over
I
the
have,
years.
and because it's true. And if
But
the shoe fits, you've got to wear it.
But I think that it has to. I think
Yeah.
that there's a modernization going on. And one thing Chief talked about is that they don't need 18 cells anymore. That,
Okay.
that they're not holding prisoners like they were in the old days. So that's going to be a cost reduction. So I think it has to work for them. And I think again, a central location, or at least a location that they're happy with. I think it could work. We'll see.
And with a cabaret, it's certainly
Cabaret. Well,
certainly.
it.
Let's change topics. And we have a little update, not much of an update, but a little update on the school facility study. Sometimes I call it the school renovation plan. But I want to turn to you because you became aware of this before I did. Superintendent of schools sent out a email to the parents about a meeting on December 9, which was an update to the Board of Ed on the school facility study. What was the driving reason for that meeting and that presentation.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, as a parent, I do. They do a really good job of sending out emails on all of those types of things. And it seemed from the email that they are opening. They're just exploring.
Who's they? The Board of Ed?
The Board of Ed.
Okay.
What it would cost to do instead of repurposing Sheehan or Lyman Hall, go to a neutral site. And it seemed like the impetus was state funding, that they may have gotten some
Wait a
data.
minute. Go to a neutral site.
Yes.
You slow right
I'm
down.
sorry, neutral.
Slow right down.
slow
Slow
down.
right down.
Okay.
What you just walk us through that slowly. What does that mean?
Like it go somewhere that's not Sheehan or Lyman Hall and build a new school. A new one high school.
This is new ground, right?
New ground.
This is
as an option.
dramatic new ground.
It is. I don't know. I mean, again. The email was.
Well, this is all exploratory. We
Yeah, it's
understand
all
that.
exploratory,
We understand
and
that.
it was more. You're a lawyer. It's like a lawyer wrote it. It was caveat after caveat. We're not doing anything. We're just exploring.
And we will incorporate by reference those disclaimers that this
Yes,
is
this whole thing is just.
just an exploratory.
But
Okay.
it sounds like they must have gotten some information about state reimbursement on the existing options that were on the table, which all involved some shifting to Lyman Hall or Sheehan and repurposing that led them to say, let's just look at this to see if this is a viable alternative. But that's what I gathered from the email. So it was interesting.
So I'm going to read a couple lines, and then I got a question for you. From Dr. Menzo's email, the second paragraph goes this way. Based on information shared from the state, the Board of Education took consensus to investigate as another option for discussion a neutral site for the potential of building a new high school. So there's a lot to unpack there, and if that ever happens, and this is very speculative and all those kinds of
Right.
cautionary comments, the other two high schools, something has to happen to them.
Right.
What?
Oh, you could do all sorts of. I mean, you could turn one of them. I mean, depending which high school. Well, I guess both of them. I don't know with the VOAG program how that would impact that part of Lyman Hall, because I don't know.
Sure.
Does that
I mean,
stay?
Well, originally they were saying that new high school, if there's one high school, it has to be Lyman Hall because VOAG is there.
Right.
And they seem to be walking that back now
Okay. Yeah.
with this new approach.
It's a fun hypothetical. You could turn Sheehan into a community center. There's your theater.
No,
There's
no,
your
no, no,
pool.
no, no.
Or no,
It's got to generate taxes because they're apparently going to buy a new parcel or something.
Oh, I mean,
it seems to me.
So you raise it and you put houses. in
I
there.
mean, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I think that has to be looked at, and that wouldn't necessarily be the decision of the Board of Ed. I think that'd be more the mayor of the town
Right.
council as to what to
Right.
do with that. But it might make a valuable subdivision for someone to attract. You're wincing, but let me just finish my thought before
Sorry.
you
No, I
jump on me here.
Okay.
Nice new subdivisions, single-family homes, so young couples can come and raise families and flood the school system
was where I was
with
going.
more kids.
Then you have to build another
Then
elementary
you have
school.
to expand the school.
Right.
And so on and so forth every 20 years. You'd be ready. Anyway,
That was that's where I was going. Was if you put some 200 houses. I mean, I don't know what you'd fit in either of those parcels, but that type
Right.
of subdivision, you'd have to build. You have to add an elementary school, and then you're.
there you go.
So I don't. That's why I'm make it a community center.
And also what this letter didn't say, because all the focus was on building a new school on neutral ground,
Mm-hmm.
which I assume it would be called the new Lyman Hall High School. I assume that's what it would be called.
I wouldn't assume that.
Oh, it would be called the new Mark T. Sheehan,
I don't know. Maybe it'd be called the
the Wallingford High School.
Mike Burdinsky, Bill Dickinson High School. I have
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
sure
I don't know.
I'm sure of that. But they would still have to do something with the middle schools. Say they would still have to renovate the middle schools. At least that's the way they're talking now.
Yes, I
So
think
this
so.
is just one piece of it. But there's another a phrase in this sentence that I wanted to tease you about. You were on the Board of Ed, right?
Yes.
How many years?
I was on 2 years in 14 and 15.
So it says the Board of Education took consensus. Walk me through that slowly, the meaning of that word, and why don't they use the word vote?
Because
You're an insider here. I'm not.
Yes. Because the Board of Ed they don't vote. They're nice and fluffy, and it's for the children. You don't vote when it's for the children. They did vote. and then I'm assuming, I don't even know what the vote was, but they take, but at the committee meetings.
But they have an aversion to the word
I know.
vote, and vote is too harsh, I guess. It's too.
We have to be.
They don't want to be accountable for their actions, so it wasn't a vote, it was just consensus.
No, they know
Is
it's a
that-
vote. They know it's a vote. It's just a term. I don't know that anyone on that board. I mean, I don't know when they started using that, but
Well,
I don't know. It's a vote. I mean, it's a vote. That committee I think technically this was a committee, right? This was ops committee or
well, I'm not.
I don't think this was a regular board meeting.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, but nevertheless, it's a subset of the Board of Ed. They're
what
committee. They
No, but what they I think the
comply
way it was
with
explained to
FOI.
me on the board was that if you're out there in TV land and you want to follow Board of Ed more, go to the committee meetings. Don't go to the big Board of Ed meeting that's televised the fourth Monday of the month, because that really isn't. You'll get some good updates from the high school kids, but all the work is in these two committees, the instructional committee and the operations committee. And so I think they use the term consensus because what they're doing is they're making decisions, and instead of it just being, it has to go to the regular Board of Ed meeting on the fourth Monday. So in their mind, I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm just telling you that's how it was explained to me. You're taking consensus to then pass it on to the regular board agenda, where then it is voted on either on the consent agenda. I think they have a consent agenda.
well,
or-
is this word consensus sort of quaint or not?
No, it's ridiculous. They should just say they
Okay,
voted. I agree with you. I'm just
Okay.
trying to,
I got
offer
it.
devil's
As
advocate.
long as you agree with me.
I agree.
Okay.
We're cabaret theater.
We're okay so
we're
far?
okay.
Okay.
Vote over consent.
Support a new police station, cabaret. We haven't made up our mind about one high school yet because it's too new. We don't have the numbers.
I don't know that I want. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I have to see.
Oh,
the
wait a
numbers.
minute. Let's back up.
Yeah.
Are you a one high school guy?
No, not yet. Not unless it has to. Well, it has to save money, doesn't it? We've had this talk. It has to save money.
Well, that's never going to happen with the cost of construction and the bond, the
Well-
principal and interest on the loans and,
That's
all the bells and whistles. I think everyone's dreaming. It's totally unrealistic in my view to think that building a brand new high school and renovating two
Right.
middle schools is going to save money. I mean, I think that's a dream.
well.
But it sounds like your instincts tell you would like to see two separate high schools.
Well, until enrollment dips to the point where that's unsustainable, and I'm waiting to. They haven't said that yet, have they?
No. I
No.
don't-
So that's my
I don't-
issue. But
Okay. Community pool, let's do a mop-up.
Sure.
We've talked about it a lot. But we spent a lot of time with Vinnie Testa on this. We had some clips, and both of you and I have had time to think about that. What's your takeaway on community pool? I know it's coming back to you, to the council in January.
Yep.
But as you look back and look forward, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that it's coming back. I would say I think probably the meeting January 21st, whatever that. Not the swearing in night, because that's not really a meeting. I mean, it's just a ceremonial thing. I think that we're going to go out to bid. I think that's going to pass. I think the only debate will be over the lap lanes. That it's currently what they're looking at are it's a 4-lane lap pool, and that's what passed through all of the hurdles, inland wetlands, planning and zoning. I do believe that there will be a motion made somewhere. Might be me, might be Craig, might be I don't know, but I believe there'll be a motion to also get bid specs for 6 lanes to see what.
And
it would cost.
that's doomed to failure, do you not?
The motion?
Yep.
No, just to get bid specs. Why would that be doomed to fail? You mean we're going out? The vote will be do we
But the
formally-
plans it's already been designed.
So, well,
And the time to have done that was before they started designing it. I think that was the meeting in September.
I think they would have to represent to us that it would be that big of a delay that would blow. Because I asked that at planning, and I was as a member of the public.
Yeah.
I went to the planning and zoning meeting a week ago Monday, I think, and I asked that question, and I basically said, what would blow this? How many changes could the council make that would blow this up? And the answers were kind of, I got the impression that the 4 versus 6 would not necessarily blow it up from Casey.
Well, here's what would blow it up. They would just say, the Park and Rec Commission and the consultant would say, oh, sure, but it's going to exceed the self-imposed budget of $5 million in construction costs.
Too bad. I mean, Well,
And so, and the mayor's going to give some sort of a stern speech about all these things that we have to do. He may even drop the police station and as a reason to be cautious about expenses. As you know, I mean, where would the mayor stand on this? And it seems to me if the mayor would have tolerated 6 lanes, you already would have seen it in the plans.
yeah, I don't know where the mayor stands on a piece of minutia. I don't know if it's
Okay, so the pool is the right size. Let me put a little check. I got a little box.
Well, no,
The
I
pool is
said-
the right size. Yes, no, uncertain.
I'm uncertain after my road trip
Uncertain,
to the West Hartford pools that they cited
Okay.
as examples. Now, I saw them; they were snow covered. I picked a bad day to go, so I need to go back up there. And I did send the council that information in an email with pictures. But I don't know. That's another thing where I think that's where I agree with you. So if I think the pool should be 20 or what? It's 8,000 square feet now. If it should
Yeah.
be,
About 8,335 or
if I
something.
think it should be 15, that's going to blow it up.
Yeah, it's too late for that.
It's too late for that. Well, it's too late to get it done this year. I mean, it's not too late. We would just have to send them back. But again, if that jacks up the price to whatever it could jack it up to, I don't know.
And
I'm sorry. Keep ripping us apart. Go ahead.
No. I mean, you know where I stand on this,
I know where
and
you
I think
stand.
everyone who's a regular watcher of the Susan Mike Show knows where I stand on that, on this. And let me just review a little bit about that, and then I'll turn it back over to you.
Sure.
So it was about a year, maybe more than a year. Then the Park and Rec Commission did a lot of research. They spent a lot of time with site visits, looking at other pools, other facilities, trying to come to some conclusion as to what the right size of the pool would be. And this was this designed for a pool that they envisioned originally, going back to 2017, 2018. It generated a lot of excitement, and I think everyone could take from the position of the Park and Rec, from their comments and their enthusiasm for it, that the right size of the pool, after all their site visits, was as set forth. It was as set forth in the schematic that they promoted and put on their website. And that was a 13,000 square foot pool with 6 lap lanes. That was what they wanted, and at the time, that was right size for Wallingford. So now you take it to the next step and come to find out, well, I don't know about come to find out, but there was some conversations about this 13,000 square foot pool and 6 lap lanes was going to cost more than someone wanted to spend, and it has to be the mayor. So someone said that this vision for the pool was going to cost more than the mayor's budget. And suddenly the pool got scaled back to 8,000 square feet and 4 lap lanes. And the Park and Rec, in my opinion, trotted out the expert to justify an 8,000 square foot pool and 4 lap lanes to fit it within the mayor's budget of a total cost of $6 million. So despite their comments and their claims of all the research they did, which is not borne out by an examination of their file, as we talked about on the last show, it's an 8,000 square foot pool with 4 lap lanes, which is a big change from their original position of 13,000 square foot pool and 6 lap lanes. But I guess you could say, so what? And because someone has to make the decision, and who better position than the mayor to make that decision? And maybe all the councilors were relieved that the mayor took the discretion away from the council, which he did by steering the process the way it was steered. Maybe everyone's relieved, everyone's happy, and there's probably a lot of people in town that don't want to spend $6 million. And so maybe they think the mayor is an absolute hero for tamping down the costs as he did and converting a 13,000 square foot pool to an 8,000 square foot pool. Maybe the mayor's the good guy in this. The problem I have is when they trotted out this past, a few months ago, the experts and the Park and Rec, and they said, we have given this a lot of thought and researched this, and we put a lot of time into this, and we know 8,000 square feet is just the right size for you. That was a rationalization to make you guys feel comfortable with 8,000 square feet. And it's that kind of, I would say, manipulation of public opinion that wrangles me. it'd be much better in a perfect world if they said, we had our eyes set on a 13,000 square foot pool and 6 lap lanes. It would have been better. It would have been nicer. It would have been more inviting. It was something we thought we could afford at one time. Apparently, we can't afford it. So a decision was made to shrink the size of the pool and to shrink the size of the the number of lap lanes. That's what we had to do to keep it within the budget set by the mayor. This is the best we could do with the dollars that we have, and they put up a schematic. That would have been more honest. It wouldn't have been terribly politically savvy, but that would have been more honest in my view, and I just wish government was more like that than what actually happened. Your thoughts on what I said? And I got to take a drink of water.
Yeah, I take a drink of water. I need
Yeah.
a drink too.
But you come back at
I wish I had something besides Coke Zero in that. I think that I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying. They do claim that they have data around the 4 versus 6. They claim they have data that people never use the 6. The 6 are never full. Today.
The data doesn't exist.
No, they said. Well, they.
I looked at their file. It's not there.
Okay.
It's not there.
They said it at the meeting.
I know they said it at the meeting, but it's in their head. The data's in their head.
Yeah. Let me answer a question with a question.
All right.
Do you think politically? So this is not. We're not in an election year, not anymore. If we did somehow blow it up.
Oh, you can't now.
Well, yeah, that's my question,
Yeah,
though.
you
What if
can't
we
now.
did? What if we blew it up? What if we said we're not? And what if, whether it was the lap lane thing, what if we said we want to see a 13,000 square foot pool? And we sent it back. We said no, we're not going out to bid on these specs.
Well, no one would be happy with that position. The park and
I know they would. I know they're
to their credit, they're worried they're not going to get a pool, and they desperately want a new pool.
They do.
I don't blame them for that. And that's their job, to advocate for,
Right.
for stuff like this.
Right.
And they're doing their job well. They're protecting what they could get,
Right.
and what they could get was a pool of some size that cost no more than $6 million. So they're fighting for that, and they're probably scared to death of an idea that would blow up the budget and cause the mayor to say, "I'm vetoing it if it gets that far."
right.
So I think politically it's gone way too far to change course at this point. The time was probably in September, or someone could have or should have called, if they cared, a special meeting to go over this in more detail, and to just ferret out this said supposed data that they had,
Right.
and to try to form public opinion around a larger pool or forge a compromise to smoke this stuff out. But that was never done. And so here we are, well past the tipping point, in my view, well past point of no
I do
return.
think.
But
Understood.
Yeah.
I do think the property, and Vinny Testa said this last week.
Yeah.
And I agree with him. I think you have to look at the overall property is going to be enhanced. You're going to have things.
Sure.
You're going to have this splash pad. The other point that Mike Savinelli made at Planning and Zoning, when he's one of the Park and Rec commissioners, talked about that the existing pool, which is 46,000 whatever it is square feet, that they only use a third of the existing pool generally on a normal day. So it's not like you're going from 46,000 to 8,000. You're going from 20 something thousand to 8,000. And again, you're getting a very much nicer property which can be used longer. The current property is only used really mid-June to mid-August. This year it was at Labor Day. So I think that's all to the positive, that you're going to get all these other amenities, the volleyball court, the splash pad.
those were never at risk. I mean, we're always going to get that. I know what he's saying. Be happy and shut up. That's what he's saying. That's what they're saying. Be happy and shut up.
Yeah.
You're getting a new facility. Be happy about it. Even though the process kind of smelled, and even though we weren't, 100% forthcoming in representing the reason for the change in size from 13,000 square feet to 8,000 square feet, be happy with what you have, and everyone will be, and it all works. I guess folks that are just like to see government more forthcoming and more transparent are going to be continually disappointed in this kind of thing. And when you wonder why people don't trust government, this is why. This kind of process is why. The pool isn't shrinking from 42,000 square feet. It's really shrinking from 13,000 square feet, which is what the Park and Rec Commission said was a good size, 13,000 square feet down to 8.
Right.
all because of a budget. I don't know if people are aware of that. They think that the pool is shrinking because 8,000 square feet is a better size.
Right.
And it's not necessarily a better size. I don't think anyone really knows what a better size is. It's shrinking to that size because the mayor said that's all I want to pay for. Close the book. That's it. That's the end of the story. That may be the right decision, but we just don't know. I just wish people would be more honest about what happened. And so, one of the underlying themes of the Citizen Mike show is don't give undue deferential
the
treatment to
official
the
version of the
official
story.
version.
I know. I'm learning.
Because too often in
learning.
politically charged decisions,
Right.
the official version is not the whole story.
Right.
You got the final word, though.
I have nothing. I got nothing.
All right. So look,
Are you not going to go to the pool out of protest?
no, I'll go to the pool.
Are you going to swim in the
Well, it
forest?
depends on the cost, depends on the cost. So you and I were talking a little while ago to try to prepare for this episode, and one of the themes that we were thinking about was maybe the three biggest stories of the last year. And I said, you know what? No, let's maybe pick one or something, and I would leave that up to you as to what you thought a real significant story was, and just see what you got. What do you got? It's like the story that Chris Shortell's
Story of
story
the
of the
year.
year. Yeah. So what is it?
It's the new pool. No, I'm kidding. It's this wonderful pool we're getting, Mike.
Spare me. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm a big fan of the clip, the Clips show, and I wanted to do a whole thing, but you
Yeah.
vetoed that 'cause it's your show. But I think the story of the year was a big year. We had the mayor winning again, which was not a fait accompli. History will look at it that way, but it wasn't if you lived through it. Sheehan just won state title, but I think the story of the year was BMS, the Bristol Myers property, and the proposed plan for that was rejected by planning and zoning. And the reason why I feel that it is the story of the year, for two reasons really. The first reason is that it was collective action by a group of residents who are typically apolitical. They came to council meetings, very respectful, and then of course they were planning and zoning meetings much more. So I think that whenever you have, whether you agree with the decision or not, I think collective action is a good thing.
I just want to back up so that no one's confused.
Sure.
What decision was made that they
rejected
influenced?
that proposed that it would be a warehouse that would have all of these hundreds of trucks. It would be designed to be a warehouse to have trucks coming in and out, like a facility where they
and a lot of them,
and so I think that's
and a huge building,
huge right,
and the trucks had backup buzzers,
everything backup, and so
Yeah.
it had. So I think that it was just at that level. It was, to me, that's again residents who come out and they influence change locally. We always talk about local elections are the most impactful. Why are they impactful? Well, the people that sit on planning and zoning are appointed by people like me. They're appointed by the town council, and so residents came out and they spoke. But that isn't the only reason why I think it was the story of the year. There's another reason.
Okay.
Another reason. And the reason is that and this was in March, I want to say. I didn't get the date, so I'm sorry. It's been a crazy week. But you had Tom Laffin on the Citizen Mike show in the spring. And sitting in this seat, Tom Laffin came out on the show and said that he had serious reservations about the plan, and he probably felt like it was not a good thing, and it probably shouldn't go through. I don't have his exact quote.
Why was that remarkable to you?
For number one, because Tom is not perceived as somebody who rocks the boat a lot, which I think is not. I think if you follow, I know Tom's one of my best friends, and I think if you follow Tom, I could argue that Tom is very much more independent than people realize. But that's a separate thing. But I think because Tom is vice chair of the council, is kind of viewed as part of the administration's point of view. But it was also extraordinary. No other councilor came out and said anything. Now, maybe people
Why didn't they?
because we're all wimps.
Okay.
We want to know. We wanted to know. I personally
Didn't want to take the risk.
No, I didn't. Well, I wasn't even sure. I talked. I was sympathetic. I knew people in that neighborhood. I talked to people in that neighborhood, privately, as many of us did. But I didn't write an op-ed. I didn't come on your show and make a statement. I didn't. And I think, all of us counselors have our issues. John Letourneau is never at a loss for words. Craig Fishbein, none of us said a word. It was Tom Laffin. And so what happened? so the Record Journal Wallingford reporter, Lauren Takoris, who watches the show, actually reported on that. And that went from a comment that Tom made on your show to the front page of the Record Journal.
Above the fold.
I think it was below the fold.
Below.
I have to verify that.
No, you're-
let's not get crazy.
No, you could be right.
It wasn't above the fold.
It could be right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
It's okay. All right.
But my point is, and that to me was really cool too, because I've only been involved in this stuff for about 6 years, but I don't recall another reporter. I've dealt with a lot of reporters over that time that, I've been on your show almost once a year until this current, gig. And it wasn't like things that I said on the show ever made their way into the paper. And all of a sudden, I watched the show back then, and all of a sudden I see it in the paper. I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. And I guess where I would go with that to sort of link that back to the decision planning and zoning made is when a prominent establishment Republican like Tom,
When a vice chair of the town council.
vice chair of town council, comes out and says something like that, and it's reported, does that influence a Republican-controlled planning and zoning? And there's a lot of people in town who wanted that thing to go through. They wanted the tax money. They didn't think it was a big deal. If you didn't live up there, let it. They just don't. They just don't like it. We're losing the business. We need to increase the taxes. So to me, it was a big deal that your show. It was sort of a convergence of local journalism and collective action.
Well, yeah.
Am I overhyping it?
No, I don't know if you're overhyping it, but part of that is a little bit of luck.
Okay.
But I think one of the takeaways is that when something unexpected and remarkable and unique occurs on an issue of significance, if the Record Journal happens to be listening, they'll report it.
Right.
But it has to be because if a counselor says something that everyone agrees with, it's not remarkable, it's not unusual.
Right.
And so it probably won't get reported. And so most of the overwhelming amount of speeches on the town council level don't get reported. Right. There's very few of them are remarkable, pithy, unexpected. And so, it was just and is probably a light news day. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna disagree a little bit.
Oh, good. I'm hoping you would.
Because I'm gonna go back to the reporter. We have the reporter, Lauren, who actually, during the candidate forum, threw out at least, I'm trying to think back. I'm obsessed with the candidate forum, if you didn't know. It's an obsession of mine. Yeah. But I know that there was one question that Christina Tata got from Lauren that was you said on the Citizen Mike show X, I want to follow up on that. And there may have been another one, but I don't remember. My point is, so that's another example of a reporter watching the Citizen Mike show and drawing from it in a different forum. So I don't think it's just luck, and I think that it's a great thing locally. We live in this era where journalists are getting dumped on, fake news and all that stuff. So I think it's a nice thing to see that it matters on a station like this, a public access station. I just, to me, as somebody that's an advocate for all this, I think it was a cool convergence of all those factors, and it led to collective action. Whether you agree
I just want to talk about the collective action, as you say. This was the community that got organized, got vocal, and got trained up, and got familiar with the issues and the facts, and made their voices heard. And whenever that happens, I'll generalize here and with a very broad, I suppose there are exceptions, but whenever that happens, when dozens to hundreds of respectful, polite, well-informed, articulate voters get in one place and go to the microphone and plead their case, the public officials are going to listen to that. And I think that's what happened at the meeting that I went to, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, where they denied the application to redevelop the Bristol Myers property.
You hit it on the head, and I think part of that, you saw the same thing the year before with the, not apples to apples, but the car break-ins, the neighborhood watch group.
Yeah.
They've been coming to the council. They came to the council more a year ago. And what's interesting, too, just to your point about when people line up at the microphone, this, and I don't want to, they're nice people.
Well, they're my neighbors, first of all.
No, I don't mean those people. I'm talking about the people there are people who, there's a small group of people who typically come to the mic at council meetings.
Oh, I have no comment on any of
that.
No,
okay, but my point is, though, that's what a public official is comparing and contrasting to. and I'm not, look, God bless them, because they're at every meeting, they're passionate about the same issues, but they say the same things every meeting. And so it's sort of like so that kind of loses its efficacy if you're a counselor sitting up there when you get the same criticism on the same issues every 2 weeks.
I think the hope is maybe one day it'll sink in.
Maybe.
I take that back. And I wish I had never said that,
Yeah,
because I
sure,
regret that
sure.
now. But go
No, I'm just thinking, but the whole, so that is my 2019
All right.
story of the year.
All right. So let's change the topic a little bit.
That's it. Okay.
And we spent a little time a couple shows back on the Freedom of Information issue.
Mm-hmm.
You had some thoughts after that show. I just wanted to take care of that little footnote. What was going through your mind that you wanted to bring that back up?
Right. So
This has to do, I think, with the posting of minutes
Mm-hmm.
and the taking of minutes, that kind of thing.
yeah, I have two thoughts.
Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the first one's a clarification. A good friend of mine emailed me and made the point that FOI doesn't necessarily require
Freedom of Information Act.
does
Yeah.
not require minutes to be posted online. And I want to clarify, I know that, we know that. That was not the issue. In fact, that was one of the defenses used. And I think the issue there was that yes, the bare minimum legal requirement should not be the standard by which you conduct.
I just want to set the table
Yes.
just with a little more detail. An issue that came up a couple of months ago that there were too many minutes
Missing.
not appearing on the town's website, so that if a resident was curious as to what was going on with certain selected
Right.
boards and commissions and they look online at the town's website for those minutes, they may not find them.
Right.
But those minutes were probably filed, I hope, with the town clerk's office within the legal deadline or something
compliance.
close to
Right.
the deadline. Now, if the mayor was sitting here as a third party in our conversation, he would say, okay, but don't give undue weight to the minutes that were missing. He would say most boards and commissions somehow get their minutes online. I just wanted to balance
Yes,
that.
yes.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't want to take your point away. I just want to fill in some
right.
detail. But go ahead.
Well, I think
Now,
the argument against that night, the argument that was made was, and FOI doesn't even require this. And again, the argument that you were making mostly, but I agreed with it, and several of us agreed with it up there, was that this was about a best practice that was not onerous at all on anyone.
right.
And therefore, because it wasn't onerous, because scanning minutes isn't onerous, the bare minimum legal requirement should not be the standard. It should be that. So the email I got from my friend was just reminding me, hey, FOI doesn't require this. And that I just want to clarify. We know that. That's not why we were that's not the argument. We know FOI was a requirement. The other part of this was an exchange you and I had where what FOI does require is within 7 days. So let me back up. Let me set that table.
For minutes to be filed.
Yes. So
At
we
the
had a
town clerk.
disagreement about whether unapproved minutes should be posted or if we should wait. You said they should be posted because any changes to minutes that are minor and it never happens, which is true. I said no. An ordinance committee, I've seen it the other way, and I don't want unapproved. I don't want potentially inaccurate information posted. But you then came back at me and said, well, wait a minute. Forget the website stuff. FOI dictates that within 7 days it has to be available. Even the town council doesn't meet every 7 days. Therefore, if you follow that logic, unapproved minutes are consistently available to anybody after a week.
Yeah.
To which I say, you win.
Okay.
Okay, you win. Happy.
Well, the common ground is minutes should be as accurate as possible.
Yes.
And if there's consistent inaccuracies in minutes, whoever's taking them should have a chat with the, chairman of that board or
Right.
commission to see if they can be,
Right.
improved somehow. The common ground is all minutes should be posted up on the website as efficiently as possible.
Right.
Because minutes sitting in the town clerk's office don't do anybody any good.
I agree.
It's good that they're there and there's a law, they have to be there, and there is a paper trail if something happens. But folks, when they want to look stuff up, it's probably after hours. They got a quiet minute between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. They want to see what happened at a particular meeting. Maybe they're planning on going the next. They want to go online. Those minutes have got to be there, or else it's
And it's saved. They're in a Word doc.
yeah.
They're online. Even in the bowels of town hall, they're online.
A couple clicks and they're
Couple clicks. They're there. Right.
We have a slide. We have a JPEG Bruce, let's set that one up. And this is a photo, an image of an ad that consistently appears in the Record Journal. Let's put that up and see if we can break the code here. Chris Shortell, you're into this, into Wallingford Jubilee 350
I'm
here.
into this.
You're into this. What is going on here with this ad? What's the background?
This is marketing.
Oh,
This is marketing. Look, this happens once every 350 years, all right? You got to get people ready. That number is going to drop. It's going to be March before you know it, and it's going to be 100 and...
this was in the paper
20 days.
today, December 18.
Okay.
Wednesday, December 18, and as of that day, 187 days remained. I'm so excited I can hardly wait. No, really, I really am. I'm so excited I can hardly wait until the big event, which begins on June 20. And the ad is to gin up excitement. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. You want transparency in government. That's all you talk about. I want to know what's there. There it is, Mike. There's transparency. You know how long it is till the celebration.
Yeah. Who's paying for that? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know. We are. I don't know.
I don't.
They must get a deal. I can't. I mean, the ads are
Or
expensive.
It
Ads
could
are
be.
expensive.
It could be too that the Record Journal is kicking that in without charge. We'll
That's
try
what
to
I'm saying. It must
research
be
that.
getting a deal.
Yeah, we'll try to research that. But before I realized that it seems to be every day, I was kind of stunned that it would be so often. That it would be there. And then when you and I were talking about this topic, preparing for the show, I took some sample dates to see if the Record Journal published on those dates included the ad, and lo and behold, it seems to be in almost every paper.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
From a marketing perspective, when you have a big event, there is a campaign where you are consistently getting. You don't wait till June 1st to market June 20th. You definitely, and we just had our town, which was the unofficial kickoff. The Record Journal is doing a series of Throwback Thursdays that are directly tied to the 350. So there's a whole sort of campaign going on here.
And what better promotion could Jubilee 350 have than a little discussion on the Citizen Mike Show?
Right, but I think I worry though. Are you jealous? And here's why I ask. Because next year there's a big anniversary next year, and it's not just the 350. If you watch the Citizen Mike Show, it says since 2010.
Right.
So the 10-year anniversary of your show is next year. So are you jealous that you're not getting...
No, I'm not jealous because you haven't seen the parade that we're going to
Okay.
that the Citizen
gonna do a
Mike Show and
parade.
WPAA are going to do. It's going to blow this Jubilee 350
Okay.
thing out of the water and make it look like small potatoes. Yeah, we're planning a gala celebration.
a big
I shoot-
episode.
Well, actually, it's going to be in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. I think there's a basketball game that same day. And my wife and I will go, and that'll be it. Let's wrap it up. Our next show is January 8th, because we're off for Christmas, which is a Wednesday.
Yep.
And we're off. I think it's New Year's Day, the following Wednesday. So the next time we come back, January 8th, and we've got some exciting guests lined up for 2020. We have Jim Seichter coming in January, chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. We have Rick Hendershot coming in January. He is the head of the utilities, Wallingford Utilities. And we have some other guests. We're just going to withhold the names and the dates because scheduling is still being talked about. Jason Zandri is lined up to come in. So we got some good stuff. Everyone, please have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for watching the Citizen Mike Show. And as you know, we're here on Wednesdays. You can watch Citizen Mike Show Thursdays, Fridays, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays on WPA at 9 o'clock, or go to YouTube, search the Citizen Mike Wallingford channel. All the shows will come up. Follow the usual prompts. Chris, thanks for hosting with us. The past 7, 8
Thank you.
weeks. Yeah.
It feels like 30. No, I'm just...
And thanks to Bruce Hagen, the booth, for just making us look good, and Susan Huizenga, the executive director of WPA. Good night, everyone. See you next year.